Hey everybody, hope you're doing fantastic today or tonight or whatever it is where you're at. So this is Tadlock, TNArtist. I appreciate you being here. Today's painting we're going to work on. We're going to work on several different things, some different effects to try and get, and just some different lighting and stuff like that. I thought would be kind of neat to work on, and going to try and work on using some different watercolor techniques and try and play around with that. Not saying we'll stick just with watercolor, probably won't, but we'll definitely play around with some different ones and talk about some different things that you can do with that, and with playing around with some of the different brushes and stuff like that as well. Had some patrons ask about it, using some of the different brushes, and so just wanted to kind of point out some stuff as well as we're going through some things, and may talk about some of the different things that you can do in Rebelle 6 Pro, and so you can try that out. But some of the stuff I'm going to do here you could also do in Procreate if you wanted to give that a try, or perhaps even in ArtRage. Some of it maybe not, but I'll try to show you some of the ways that you can do the different things that we're going to be doing. So I'll try to discuss it, and remember to discuss how to use, if you're using a program that doesn't have some of the features, how to try that as well. So just to make it as broad-based as possible, so that way you're not necessarily dependent upon Rebelle 6. But hey, if you got Rebelle 6, or if you don't have it, see if you can get it. They've been running some specials and stuff, and it's definitely worth it for a lot of the things that it can do, especially the watercolor engine and the fluid engines and stuff like that it has. So anyway, to jump into this, I have my 8x10 canvas that I normally have, just because that works really well with my recording software. I am set to 150 dpi because, again, that works really well with my recording software, and I can then use the nanopixel to upsize it if I want to do prints and use that. I also have over here the oil color set that I'm using, and I have a few extra colors in here as well, and those are if I use them, I'll try to remember to show you what they are, but they are actually in some of the posts on Patreon. They are laid out there. You can just do a search for them, do color sets or palette, and it should pull up for you there as well. But if you are a patron and you have a question about it, just let me know, and I will be more than happy to share them over there for you as well. Alright, so let's kind of play around with doing this image. So kind of what I'm wanting to do here is set up a background, and I'm just using this bluish color here. So let me show you what color I've got for this. I'm just going to select the color tool here, select this, click on it here. That's the blue I've chosen. You can really choose whatever blue you want. That's just the one I've got right here. Okay, I just randomly chose it, to be perfectly honest. But I'm going to lay some stuff on top of it. And I'm going to jump over here to my watercolor brush. And I'm going to, I think I'm going to actually just kind of go with this flat wash maybe. I just kind of landed on it anyway. I am going to bring the water content up to maybe about 20% or so forth. And if you'll notice right up here, this is kind of an interesting thing. When you can see the brush here, you'll see as I increase the water, it shows you how the brush fills up with water. I think that's kind of a neat thing. So I've got it about 25% water in it, so it should flow quite well. And but I am going to go ahead and pause diffusion, so that way when I put it on here, it won't start flowing. Okay. And now what I want to do is grab a little bit different blues and kind of lay them in here. I'm going to stick with this bluish colors for the moment and just kind of play around with some of those. So I'll go with the cerulean and just kind of maybe lay that in really kind of soft. This brush right here for this wash is very pressure sensitive, so the lighter I push, the less paint it's going to throw down. I'm going to go a little bit darker with the same blue and just kind of put that in here as well. Let's come straight down, go a little bit lighter. This phthalo, just kind of streak it in. Read it some, come down a little dark. Maybe something like that. I'm also going to come over here and I'm going to wet the layer. Alright, now I'm going to unpause the diffusion. Let this kind of do its thing. I'm going to switch this to 4, which is blend. I'm just going to kind of encourage these to blend with one another. I could use the blending tool, but I don't want this to completely go together. I want it to be a little bit of a striation, and I'm going to pause it. So I do want to keep some of this striation in it. Okay, so that's why I'm not using the blending tool here. Alright, I'm going to push F to fast dry, and I'm going to push D again. That'll unpause it. Now what I want to do is maybe grab this flat here. I come in here, grab the titanium white, bring the water down, and just kind of put that in there a little bit, let it diffuse. Like that. Push 4 again to just kind of let me smear it around a little bit. You can see it's still kind of softly diffusing on its own a little bit as well. But I like being able to use this way where I can control the water and just kind of play around with the diffusion. Okay. So now that I'm kind of there, keep with this angle that I have. Like so. Alright, now what I want to do, I'm going to grab the circle, and I'm going to do the add, and I'm going to press shift, drag a circle out, then click, drag it, and then click. Click by accident. Like so. And hold shift. Why it keeps doing that? Drag another one. Well, you know what? I'm just going to have to change how I'm doing this. So shift, click, enter, shift, enter, enter, enter. Okay, so you're probably going, what are you doing? So I'm thinking too, what am I doing? Alright, so now what I want to do is I'm going to press I and grab maybe that color. Back to the flat wash. I'm going to make a new layer. And I'm going to bring that down in size. Just kind of throw that in there. And press Alt. Grab that color. Maybe throw it in there. And maybe grab that color. Be make sure that I fill up the entire circle. Maybe go a little bit brighter on that one. Maybe something like that. But also, I think I would like to go a little bit brighter with this one. Lighter for that, for this one. Because remember, this brush is very pressure sensitive. I'm going to put just a little bit, tone that down just slightly. I want this to have just a little bit of a swirl to it. Something like that. Just a little bit of movement. Something like that. Filter, Gaussian blur. Maybe up to about 5. Maybe just 2. Alright. Then Control D. Okay. I'll make another layer. I'm going to do the circle tool again. Hold Shift. Drag that one, enter, Shift, enter, Shift, enter, something like that. And I'm going to go back, hit B to go back to my brush, select that color. A little bit brighter. There we go. Just kind of throw that in there. A little bit in there too. So you're starting to see what it is. Control D. Letting that one kind of splash around for a second. And then F. Actually, you know what? I should have. Let me do. Well, maybe that'll be fine. Let's try Gaussian blur. Apply. I'm going to come down here and make one more layer. One more of the circle tool. Shift again. Enter. Enter. And that was a little too lined up. Up there. Hit B. Alt. Select. In this one. This one. And maybe let's target this one too. So blur, apply, F, Control D. Okay. The top layer, make another one. want to do this a little bit more. Got Shift, Enter. But we're going to do these all in the same layer. But we're going to kind of stack them. I'm going to hit I, select B. Kind of throw that in there. I'm going to bring this over. I'll change that color a little bit. Fast dry. Leave that on new selection. Just making sure that's what it was on. I'm going to deselect every time I change it. I'm going to hit M to quickly change back to the circle. B. M. I'll make another layer below this. I'll put one behind these guys. For a second. There we go. With this being wet, I can just put this in here and let it kind of diffuse out, give it kind of an ethereal look. Then hit F. I'm just using the mop because it's a little bit faster. It still gives me kind of the translucent look that I'm going for. I'm just using my mouse, if you can hear it clicking. The cursor doesn't move. Using my left bracket key, change the size. we go. Just want to soften this a little bit. There we go. Kind of subtle, but it works. Let me bring just a little bit more. And I swear there's a method to what I'm doing here. You're going to see it eventually. But I just want to get it laid in here. All right, so the next thing I want to do, come over and grab my stencils, my waterfall stencil, and I'm going to use this flat wash again. Bring the water down a little bit. So what I want to do here is I want to add some streaks. I'm going to merge these first though. So I'm going to select them all, hit merge. Got that. I've got that. Layer between these two. I'll right click on my stencil, and with this air color here, I'll set that in there. It's going to dry fairly quickly, as you can possibly see. It went a little granulated like that. I'm just going to quickly lay that in and let it dry. Just like so. Okay. Just like so. Okay. So now that I've got that dried in there, what I'm going to do is I'll switch over to the blend, and I'm going to go back over it and kind of soften it. By moving my stencil around to different areas. Now I've got my stencil opacity reduced. You can change that under Preferences. I'm just going to bring this size down. The reason I was using my stencil is because I want part of this to be very streaky. Like so. Now you can do this with, for example, you could use like the spatter brush. All right, still keeping it on that. Just kind of go over it, and it will kind of smear it as well. Doesn't do quite as good of a job, but it does smear it. You see. But by using the stencil, and you can also turn off the lock size ratio so that you can really stretch this out. And then really get that nice smear with it to give it that really streaky kind of a feel. Like so. Okay, so I just want to add that to the background of it. Hit backspace and get rid of my stencil. Hit the period and bring that back to center. Alright, and so that's going to give us that. Alright. Got that there. I'm going to come over here to layer 5. I'm going to make a new layer. And I'm going to grab my space. Up. Well, actually, border. And I'm going to drag it up. Like so. Now for this, I'm going to switch. I'm going to go maybe to, doesn't really matter what I go to, but I'm going to go to Knife Smooth. And go to this titanium. Almost to the bottom. So that's not quite white. If it was, these would all be 255. So you can see it's a little off-white. Okay. This. And drag it over. Lay some more in. Drag it over. Some more in. So I'm really just trying to lay in these spots is what I'm doing. I want a lot of these. I'm even going to bring the size down. Click on this. Let's flip it horizontally. And then vertically. Just kind of, randomize it a little bit. Rotate it. This would almost be, if I was doing this, traditionally, I would have a toothbrush. Just be kind of spattering it. But I really want a lot of these spatters on here. Just like that. Backspace. Period. So now I want to make a new layer. And I want to grab a little darker, make it a little less color. And this liner, water way down. Now for this, I just want to draw, first I want to actually choose, so I'm just going to make some half circles, just different random areas here. So just these little almost parachute looking things. You just kind of randomly place them. Like that. Okay. And once you've got that done, the next thing we're going to do, come in here and we're going to grab like maybe this color. Let's zoom in just a little bit. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go in, fill in around the bottoms. Kind of like so. Push 4 and kind of blend it together a little bit if you want. Kind of a smoother transition. But all in all, you don't have to overly worry about it. The main thing is we're just kind of filling it in. Trying to stay fairly round. Doesn't have to be perfect. Alright. So now I'm going to take and I'm going to hit 4. Actually, I may even just go to the wash brush. Kind of soften it a little bit. You could even go back to here and bring that back down to 1 as well. Go back to the liner brush. A little bit lighter with that. Maybe something like that. Just slightly. Yeah, maybe something like that. All right. So now I'm going to go back to the wash brush into this darker color. And now it's just using my bracket keys to really kind of vary that in and out. like this. Something like that. Break this off a little bit here. Just kind of like that. To this one. I think I would like to pop it over to a new layer first. Now this, you can only do this really in 6. But what I'm doing is that it's too symmetrical. So I just want to kind of maybe move it around, put it in a different spot, figure out where I like it. I think that's a little better. All right, grab this one. Opacity down just a little bit. Go along the edge here. Try and break up the line. Don't go in a completely solid line. You see where I break it up here and there? Just by picking up. You can have longer stretches, but just pick it up here and there. Makes it a little bit more interesting. And we'll come back and kind of change the thickness and so forth. So like this one, we can kind of maybe blend it a little bit on the side. Kind of come down the bottom and give it a little hook around. Now let's bring this opacity back up. Let's go with the white. Just a little bit of sparkle here and there. I want to come down to this bottom layer, back to the flat wash. darker here. I'm also going to increase the water. Just to give it a little bit more of a razzle-dazzle. And just like this. Oops. I want to put a few of these over here. Push this back a little bit too. I'm going to save this real quick. Alright, so now that that's saved, I'm going to add just a little bit more of that dark in here. Kind of tone that down a little bit. Like so. And I'm going to grab a little bit of this lighter color. Streak that in there where we had some of those other ones. So I think we're going to turn on the tilt just so that flows down a little bit. Just kind of streak these back and forth into each other. Like so. So that all those textures start really building on top of one another. I'm going to do a little bit of that with this here. Pull that down into it a little bit. Like so. Alright. On this layer, I'm going to go filter Gaussian blur again at 8 to 10. Tell it apply. Fuzz that up just a little bit more. And I think for these three, we can go ahead and merge them. Like so. With this on here, I'm going to go ahead and kind of soften the bottom of this a little bit. It's a little too harsh. That just kind of takes some of the crispness off of some of these. Okay. I think I'm going to put this on a layer right here. Grab a stencil again. Actually going to use this water stencil off the lock size ratio. I'm going to stretch this out. All I want to do is just kind of lay some of these in here real quick. And then hit 4. I just want this to be just the slightest hint of like a table, or like the reflection is going this way. Okay. I'm going to hit T. I'm going to stretch that. Oops. No. Actually, I meant to do that on a different layer, but you know what? I'm just going to leave it. I think that'll work for now. I can clean that up. Backspace. Select this. I'm going to hit my selection tool. Come straight across. Up to right about here. Hit enter. I'm going to go to filter. Hue saturation. I'm going to bring that saturation down to about 25%. Tell it apply. Control D. So that desaturated just that part, which I think it needed. Okay. Now what I was thinking was, because this is rather blue, I was thinking I might add some candles in the front. So I'm thinking maybe just perhaps one here. So maybe right about here. And maybe right about there. This is a really great way to make cylinders. I can stretch these out to fit. And then boom. All I gotta do is put it on here, stretch it across, bring it down, hit enter. Now I've got my cylinder. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to have these be kind of in the brown kind of color. So I'm going to use something like maybe this Indian red to start with. And I'm going to jump over to maybe my smooth knife. Let's see what this looks like on here. Let's just kind of lay this in real quick, like so. Alright, and then we'll go with definitely not that color. Burnt sienna, maybe? Yeah, a little bit burnt sienna. Just kind of down through here. Definitely not. Van Dyke brown. Yeah, that's what I want. something like that. Hit 4. Just kind of model these together. Like so. We'll do some yellow ochre. Kind of coming through here. Like that. Hit 4. Get it into each other. Come like that. And 4. And this is very much like oil painting right here. You just kind of put in a little color, blend it back and forth. And this smooth knife works fantastic for this. This is one of the ones that does really good. Get you that really nice glow by just kind of blending it around. Like that. In there. I think I want to have this, maybe these candles be burned down a little bit. I was thinking about just putting the flame up here on the top. Interesting to have them burn down. Alright, so I did Control D, deselected. Now I'm going to start pushing this down a little bit, and I'm just have it on 4 still, to just kind of shape this around a little bit. I can come back and erase as I need to, but right now I'm just pushing the paint down. It's going to leave a little bit, as you can see. Just want to kind of round it off, like so. Now I can push 5, and just kind of come back and erase it. Like that. Okay, so I did something I highly recommend that you do between stopping this and coming back. I did something I recommend that you do, which is I stepped away. So I went to go grab a drink real quick. And as I did, I realized a couple things. One, these are looking way too similar, so I'm going to change that. Two, I don't like the placement of this right here. It doesn't look right. So I'm going to press T and give this a second. Oh, here we go. T. And I'm going to move this up. And maybe right about here. Okay, something like that. So I think that'll work. And I'll make these look, so basically this is obviously going to be like a table or sitting on something. So I'll put a reflection and everything below it in just a second. But I want to make that, so see how that makes it look like it's sitting more on it? That's what I wanted to do. So now the other thing is I need to make these, so humans are creatures of pattern. You know, we recognize pattern quickly, we like pattern, so we have a tendency to create pattern. And that's obviously what I've been doing without overly realizing it too much. So I want to fix that. So I'm going to work on doing that as well and try and see if I can't remedy some of that on here. So let me work on that and try and maybe move some of this around. So I think I'm going to, let's see, I've got my brush picked and I'm going to go with 5. So I'm going to get rid of some of this in the background here for this one and kind of break that up a little bit. And maybe just kind of something like that. And bring this around as well. Okay. So that's going to give that a little bit. I mean, they would burn similar because if you think about it, candles are made to burn in a similar way. So they would burn, you know, somewhat similar. So we're going to go with that. And I think on this one, I think I would like to open this up a little more. So I'm going to select this and maybe just kind of bring this down. This. So I can really kind of out a little bit. Get a little bit more of a glow. Grab that. 4. Just kind of put that in there because that would be kind of a cool spot. Like that. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I just use my left bracket key to bring that size down. There. And push that over a little bit so that maybe it's got kind of an uneven melt, you know. Maybe something like that. Okay. Just kind of fade this up and around. Like that. Bring that over the edge a little bit. So I think I want to create a drip. Maybe something like that. So we've kind of got that there. Grab a little bit of this dark color. put it in through here as well. Hit 4 and just kind of blend it in. Again, this is very much like oil painting. Kind of soft blend there. Something like that. And let me bring this size up so I've got it on 4 still and kind of just soften this a little bit. Like that. And that's just some, stuff that's kind of gradually changing this around a little bit to give just a little bit of different look and feel to the two. So similar but different, and that's kind of what I want. It's just enough for them to look like similar candles, but that maybe they're melting just slightly different. Alright. I'm going to grab a little bit of this. I'll throw it in here. I want to add a little bit more of a glow to some of this edging. Like so. Hit 4. Just kind of blend it. Kind of carry that glow around the edge a little bit. Because remember, these are cylinders, so you want to kind of have it go around and just kind of fade off into the edges some. Like that. And just research some candles, look up some candles. Again, don't copy a candle unless you have the rights to it. But find some for inspiration. Nothing wrong with, going to Pinterest or something and finding some that give you some inspiration, but then just don't use them verbatim. Just kind of say, okay, here's some ideas. And then use those, kind of store them in your brain. Now you can use them for, practice. If you want. As long as you're not selling it or stuff, technically, yes, it's still kind of a copyright infringement, but nobody's going to care if you're not selling it or anything. If you're just doing it as a it's a practice piece, and if you give credit, say, hey, this was a practice piece based off of so-and-so's picture that I found over here, here's their website, then big deal. Squish up these edges a little bit. Maybe not that much. Just Control Z. There we go. Just running down the side here. And along here. Just to kind of take that completely straight. They would have, if they're industrial candles, like some you'd buy at like a store, then they're going to have fairly straight edges. But I think it just gives them a little bit more interest if they're not quite perfect. Notice how I'm kind of moving my brush and then I move it in. That's to kind of get the rhythm of the angle that I want, and then I just kind of move in and let it do its thing. Alright, I think that works for that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a little bit of this Naples yellow. I'm going to throw a couple of these in here. Just some splotches. Or maybe wax has melted a little bit more. Kind of some sparkly points. Like that. Let's put maybe where flame is going to go. Put in some brighter yellow and kind of throw a few spots here and there. Add to it. Hit 4, blend it in. Like so. Up down a little lower. And a little lower. I'm just adding more white by going down that line. And just a few spots here and there. And that'll give it that really kind of wet feel. Okay, so something like that. Alright. So we've kind of got a little bit of that. You can even add a few bit of white out here. Like so. Hit 4. Just kind of blend those. And that'll give the feel of it kind of melting over the edge. Just kind of blend it in a little bit. That starts to become our brightest spot. Like that, it really starts to add that glow. I'm going to grab a little bit of this bone black, just come kind of straight up, like that. Hit 4, up and down a little bit. Hit 1 again, and then 4. That's going to give that feeling of it. All I'm doing is adding a little bit of yellower wisp at the top there, like so. Okay, so that gives us that really candly kind of a feel. All right. Now then I can add another layer. And this layer I can turn off pigment, go to linear dodge, go to airbrush, really bright yellow, add in just a touch right like that. That's going to really kind of pump that up a little bit to make that look like it's glowing. Don't overdo it too much though. You can come back down to some of these other yellows if you want to add in a little bit of a glow through the candle, right? Just here and there. Go back to the knife brush, hit 4, bring it up in size, and just kind of smear that around a little bit to make it kind of feel like it fits better. Okay. And just merge it down. So now you got these really bright glowing candles, just like that. Alright, so hit the period and we can see what it looks like. So that gives us really some cool looking candles there. Alright. So now we need to kind of reflect those. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate that layer. We're going to hit T and right click. Well, flip vertical. Hold the shift key. To let us bring it straight down. Hit enter. Now really, this should be line up, kind of like this. Okay. But you can play around with the artistic license if you want to. Beat this one. And kind of play around with the, just the placement of it a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to make sure that I'm on the knife. And I'm going to bring the opacity down to about half. Bring the size up. I'm on 4. And I'm just going to kind of, whoops. Hang on. I should have brought that up. Hang on. Just totally killed my camera there for a second. Drag this up a little bit. Just straight up and down. Like so. Okay. And like I said, technically it should be lower and so forth, but I like that this gives a better glow. All right, I'm also going to push 5. And I may come in and just kind of erase some of it a little bit as well. I don't want it to be quite so overwhelming. Then 4 again. And just again, just up and down. Like so. Alright. Now I'm going to grab a little bit of the Alt and grab that dark color. And I'm going to streak it down from there. Just like so. Tap on it. I'm going to go a little bit darker. And just like so. Hit 4. Kind of soften it a little bit. Just like that. Okay. And at 5, kind of clean up my edge a little bit. Just like that. Okay. I'm going to hit, I've selected this layer again. I'm going to hit T. I'm going to come to the warp. I'm going to increase. What I do here just a little bit to make it a little bit more round. There. A little bit like that. On top of this layer, I'm going to make another one. Still got that same dark. I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to lower the opacity. Just going to come on the bottom here. Kind of go along. And then hit 4. And just kind of soften it. Then maybe do it again. Again, thinking about the fact that this is a cylinder. I can clean it up in a second. And to me, that just kind of helps ground it a little bit. I think that works. Now I'm going to take these 3 layers, press Shift, and press Shift, and then just merge all 3 of those. Alright, so now we've got that. Let me save this real quick. And I'm going to make a new layer here. I think I want to try something real quick just to see if I like it. I'm going to go to the ink brush. And actually, I can go back to the liner. This darker color. Do breaks up a little bit of this vertical feel. Five. Just feel like I said, feel like throwing in something that's a little bit different. A few maybe some buds on it. I can connect these in a minute. Just thought this might look interesting. Laying across here. bluish color. That's really way too bright. Just think something maybe that looks kind of almost, kind of reminiscent of maybe a cherry blossom, or just, something like that. It doesn't have to be a cherry blossom. I mean, if you want to make it one, you definitely could, but I just wanted something that's kind of reminiscent of it. And it may be too distracting, I don't know. I just thought it could be a nice little something. Foreground. I also thought about putting books. That could be interesting. So, if you want to put this in the front, you can. If you don't, don't. The nice thing about Rebel is when you select the color, it'll select those colors. I just want to throw in a little bit of a highlight. I'm going to grab a little bit of this color. Got a little bit of color harmony going on. Control D, M, select those guys. B, just kind of throwing in some lines to indicate maybe some highlight of leaves. When I hit 4, just kind of soften those a little bit. Something like that. Control D, M, select the bark. And then I want to grab this dark color. Like that. Hit B. I'm going to go back over here to my knife smooth. Just kind of smear that around a little bit. Okay, Something like that. And maybe just add just a few more little buds here and there. Something kind of like that. Green spots as well. Like so. And then let's duplicate and flip it. Go to 4. And kind of like we did before, just kind of give it a little bit of a softening. The opacity just a little bit, like that. Alright, I think I'm going to come down here on this one. Or maybe I'll come up on this one. And I'm going to grab just this color here. Whoops, wrong layer, sorry. Control Z. Make a new layer. I'm going to put it below this candle. Actually, sorry. Put it. All right. You can use any brush to kind of smear this around. I'm just trying to give it a little bit of that horizontal feel to it, like so. That's going to give me a little bit more of that table feeling. T, stretch it out just a little bit. Enter. Grainy pen brush. Getting a little bit of delay from the recording software, but just want to add a little bit of the been getting in here. Just because I think it adds a little bit of interest. There we go. And just fade it a little bit. Yeah. I think that's giving us kind of that feeling that I want. So let's take a look at it back in here. So there we kind of have it. You know, it gives that feeling of it sitting there maybe on a nice reflective table or surface. Candlelight there. I think maybe right here behind these two, one last thing to maybe do would be to go to the airbrush tool, bring the size way up, grab a little bit of this color here. Let's put in some of that just to give that overall glow. Okay, we're going to filter, Gaussian blur, really crank it up. And let's bring this down, turn this off, do overlay, or maybe even linear dodge. No. Put that on 4. Just kind of throw it a little bit out of shape. Then let's go to 5. Just kind of distort it a little bit. And back to 4. Just kind of soften it. So it's just really, really subtle. As well. I'm curious how that would look if we put it on the very top. Five. Push that back just a little bit right there. And let's do one more round of Gaussian blur. Maybe about 15. All right. I think it's kind of done. So, what do you guys think? I think this is a fun one. It's kind of different. We got to play around with a lot of different things. Some reflections, some building up some atmospheric perspective, some highlights, lighting, making water drops in the background. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was fun. Let me know any questions you have. Let me know any thoughts or suggestions, and I'll see you on the next one.